And attention all personnel, this is the NTD conducting the launch status check. Verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC.
OTC is go.
TBC. Tango booster go. TTC.
Yo, Darius Pitt here. So you may be asking yourself, if I don't have any money, how do I shoot a film? I mean, I have money, but it's like $5 or $10. What can I do with that? My answer, you got $10 laying around? That's plenty of money. Go shoot something, fool. There are two ways to shoot a film. You've got the traditional way, which can be very expensive, and then we've got the backwoods way. You can get it done scary cheap out here in them backwoods. Let's get into it. Shooting films for next to nothing is a different kind of filmmaking process. It's called resource filmmaking. The best way to shoot something for cheap is to start with your resources first and then work backwards. Raising money. You could run a crowdfund campaign and stress yourself out for 30 days blasting your social media for donations. Or you could start with your wallet. Whatever you find inside, that's your budget. Gear. You could rent gear, cameras, lights. That's gonna cost you money you don't have. The backwoods way? Use whatever gear you have. And my shock mount that I'm using is not the best, so I actually gotta like tape the bad boy down so it doesn't rotate and move. If you don't have any equipment, don't worry about it. I've shown you guys what you can do with just a camera, tripod, hot shoe mic, and a cell phone. You can do a lot with a little. Writing. You could write a script full of locations, stunts, 10 actors, special effects, etc., etc. Or you can keep it simple. No more than 2 or 3 actors. Very simple story, simple conflict. You can write your friends and acting buddies into the script. We got Odessa's cheeks happening.
How's it going? What's good?
Give him the camera, Odie. Give him the camera. Tell him something, Odie.
Tell him something.
Tell him something.
Tell him something. It's a wonderful Sunday. All right, sun's out. No clouds in the sky.
Sun's out, guns out.
Sun's out, guns out. All right, I don't know if you can see them, but they're gonna be out.
Right towards their personalities and strengths. The benefit of that is you'll already have the actors and you know they can pull the roles off. Casting. You could run a casting call, host auditions, try finding an actor who you can fit into one of the roles you've written. Might cost you a lot of time and money depending on how you do it. Or you can take that script you've written for your acting buddies or your friends and you can just skip this whole process altogether. If you don't know any actors, use friends who are interested in acting. Part of your job as a filmmaker and as a director is to know how to get the best out of your talent, and this includes non-actors. I've worked with a lot of non-actors. It's one of those things. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Neither of the actors in Slapboxer were trained actors, just friends who had an interest in acting. Crew. You could look for a whole crew. Sound guy, camera guy, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you got some film school buddies who are willing to help, or maybe you gotta pay people. Getting crew together is always a challenge, especially if you're not paying them. Or you could write something easy to execute, so easy that you could do it with 1 or 2 people. Something so simple that you can focus all of your energy on executing it well. So easy that you could shoot it in 2 to 4 hours, so you don't have to worry about spending money you don't have feeding actors and crew. Location. You can write a script with cool locations like clubs, bars, restaurants, but then you gotta go out and get permission to use these places, and sometimes securing these locations can be such a huge hassle. Or you can write locations into your stories that you already have control over. Your house, your office, a friend or family member's house or job. So much easier. Location scouting. When you're scouting out these locations, be sure to take note of the placement of the outlets. How many are there? Are they functioning? If you're shooting in an older place, sometimes the outlets don't work. How does the location look at different times of day? If you got time, pre-light it. Use a couple of friends as stand-ins while you experiment with the lighting. Pre-lighting can save you loads of time on set because you'll already have a lighting strategy going into it. This is a huge benefit to using locations that you already have control over. Storyboarding. You can draw storyboards before you get the location, but usually you have to revise them once you find the location you intend to use because the layout's almost always different. The backwoods way? Since you're shooting in a location you already have access to, bring a camera and take stills at the location. You can see exactly what you've got to work with. Walk through the film shot by shot if you want. It's so much easier to plan out shots and draw storyboards when you're actually in the space. You end up finding cool shots that you might not have even thought of. My process. When I feel like shooting a microfilm or a short on the cheap, I start with my resources. I usually grab coffee with actors that I know or friends who are interested in acting or other filmmakers, and we chat. We'll brainstorm up a story that we could shoot for super cheap, something simple that doesn't require a whole lot of preparation. We talk about whatever locations we may have access to, and by the end of the meeting, we've got a story, locations, and actors. Boss. Then I go scout out the location, and we usually end up shooting within a week. quick. I used Resource Filmmaking to shoot this short film as an example. We will break it down and talk about it after you watch it, how we did it, the shots, lenses, sound, etc., etc. Without further ado, I give you...
Your shot went through me, and I forced it out. God, it's D4. You've got to pick a card.
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what we're doing here, but not answering the phone, not answering the door, you got me feeling like, I feel like a pretty big creep right now. Did you forget it's Valentine's Day? We made plans a week ago. This is just some kind of like booty call thing. I would rather you let me know that than to treat me like I'm like some creep or something. I got feelings too. If you want something, I hear from you. But if it's the other way around, I don't get that same courtesy. You don't answer the calls, you don't answer the door. I don't want to blow your phone up, babe, but when you get a chance, can you please call me back? Please. Cool, so let's break down what we did here. Story. The location came first. My buddy Steve used this camper once or twice as a location in his films. He mentioned it at our coffee meet, showed me a few pictures. I was sold on shooting something there. It looks interesting, and more importantly, we already have access. boss. Once we had a location, we built a story around that. The story is super simple. One character wants to get inside the camper. Two characters don't want that to happen. So we have characters with opposing goals, and the conflict is clear. From there, we just add escalation. Each character tries to do something to achieve their goal. They fail, then they try harder using different tactics. We get a climax, then a resolution. Short, sweet, simple. Location. When we scouted the location, the camper was supposed to be out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know it was about 30 feet away from a huge house, so this presented certain challenges. I had to frame the house out in quite a few shots. This window shot is actually through the back window of the camper. If we shot it through the front window, you'd see the house. When we first got there was a lot of debris in front of the camper. It hadn't been used in a while, so we had to clear it out. It was much smaller than I imagined it would be. There wasn't really any room to use any of the lights that I wanted to use where I wanted to use them. Found that out during the pre-lighting. Gear. I used a Canon 60D, lenses, a tripod, a sound recorder, headphones. I brought my Aperture Lightstorm LED panels, a bounce board, a mic stand, shot mic, a shock mount, and a hot shoe mic for reference sound. I'll leave links to all the gear that I used in the description section. Shooting. It was completely empty. Nothing on the walls. There were things missing. As we shot, I had to frame out certain areas that didn't look the best. You'll be surprised at how much you can get away with by just using careful framing. During the location scout, we walked through the story shot by shot. I took a lot of test shots. When I say action, look out the curtain. Action. Imagine his thumb is the speaker and just volume it down or something. Okay.
Or she may not see him. You know, she
just hears him.
She's looking.
She looks out that there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, okay, we can... We really didn't want to spend any money on set dressing since this is just practice. So we only dressed a few things. Brought pillows, brought oranges, Bluetooth speakers, a flower pot. I actually purchased the beers for $6.99. We drank them afterwards, and by afterwards, I mean I may have had one during. We're all professionals here. We started shooting 2 hours later than we planned. It was a race against the sun. As the sun set, the lighting changed dramatically. The late start definitely didn't help. If you look closely, the lighting doesn't match from shot to shot, but I've seen plenty of films get away with this, so I wasn't too worried about it. Before we started rolling the camera, I walked through the scenes with the actors. And then while you're here, you can just say, oh, okay, he's gone. And then, so the looks, casual. Okay. Just casual look. Just pull it back, peek it out. You know, and then that's it. We never really wrote a script. It was just the story that we talked about over coffee and the shots that I saw in my head. I didn't bring a slate. I didn't even bother slating because I wasn't recording sound. More on that later. I shot the wides first, let the actors run through the entire scene, and then I ran through all 3 scenes shooting Kate's coverage. After I shot everything with Kate, I shot Harris's coverage. And then after that, I shot all the insert shots of the table and the cards and the money and the chips. Then I shot Kate moving throughout the camper. I shot all of the exterior camper footage last. I had to brighten the footage up quite a bit in post. I actually didn't want any handheld shots in this film, but the hi-hat that I brought was too small for the tripod head that I was using that day, so I had no choice. Rookie mistake. But hey, it is what it is, and sometimes you just gotta do what I gotta do. Whenever I was acting in front of the camera, I had either Kate or Steve record me. Do you know where the focus ring is?
Yep. Not as good at getting it on the fly. Yep, there we go.
Sound.
Beer toast, beer drink, card picking, shuffling, cards
Radio down.
radio up and down.
Okay.
All those are in here too.
So right now we're just identifying which close-ups we need to run in and get since we're changing a little bit, and then we got all our wild sounds over here that we need to get later. Yeah. And we're not turning the AC down because it's too hot in here, so I'm just gonna redo all the sounds. Right. See, we'll get really muggy. This is why I didn't bother recording sound with the sound recorder.
God.
Clink bottles. This is what most of it sounded like. I literally had to re-record every sound that you hear in the film. It's all redone in post. All the Foley, all the ADR, all the actors' lines, everything. I used a Tascam DR100 for the on-location sound recording. Wild sound, entering, camper, opening door. Go ahead. Okay, one more again. I actually just re-recorded all the actors' lines with my cell phone. So we're getting Backwoods ADR, where basically you just record a little bit of the video on your phone so the actor can look at the video as reference, and then you just like record varieties of the lines in different ways and different cadences and hope that like one matches up, or you can tweak it a little bit in post so that it matches. And it's really weird to do.
It's really weird. The word just doesn't even sound the same at all.
It's like such an alien process, but it works and it's cheap.
God.
I had to re-record several sounds in post to finish out the sound design. I played the music through speakers and re-recorded the music to get that organic reverberation. So the music sounds like it's actually playing through speakers in the film.
You tried to warn me, and I
Lenses. I used my Canon 10 to 18mm zoom lens for the wide shot so I could stuff as much of my environment into the frame as possible. I was about 6 feet away from the actors here. I used a Canon 50mm 1.8 for all the close-ups. I was about 3 feet away from the actors here. I like the look of the 50mm lens, plus I can take in more light with this lens because it can open up to wider apertures. I used a 70 to 300mm macro lens to get these shots. I like getting right up on the eyes. I wanted to shoot them listening as tight as I could to catch those thoughts. You can almost feel them thinking. Boss music. I got the music from a local band called SUR BLOCK. A couple of my friends are actually in this band. I heard them perform live and I dug it. If you want to hear more from them, I'll leave links to their SoundCloud and other stuff in the description section. In case you're wondering exactly what I bought for 10 bucks, I got a 6-pack of beer for props and a candy bar. I ate the candy bar while I was storyboarding. There are some films that require a lot of money and time to pull off, but if you want to make a film and you've only got 10 bucks in your pocket, give resource filmmaking a shot. Take a trip out into the backwoods. Well, I do believe that's all that I got for you. And again, I will leave links to what I used, all the gear that I use in the description section. I'll also leave a link to my budget filmmaking startup kit on kit.com, where I can recommend gear and books if you're just starting out. I update it frequently. Again, thank you for watching. D-Bird out.
They would make a total of 6 stops on this traverse, collecting samples from large rocks,